The little girl risked beheading to secretly take a freshly roasted duck from the imperial kitchen after climbing down from the roof. She also grabbed 2 fragrant steamed buns. She took such a great risk for food, just so the third prince in the cold palace could survive this winter. In her past life, the girl infiltrated the palace to clear her father's name, only to meet a tragic end. Before dying, only the least favored third prince collected her body. The third prince also fell victim to the crown prince's jealousy, both ultimately dying miserably in the cold palace. When the girl woke again, she found she had been reborn on her first day entering the palace. The very day the third prince's mother passed away, the palace was busy with funeral arrangements and treated the prince with even more humiliation. Remembering her past life, to overturn her father's unjust case, she had chosen without hesitation to serve the crown prince as a maid, helping him eliminate rivals and secure the eastern palace, never expecting the crown prince would later eliminate her. Only the third prince was willing to fulfill her final wish, so in this life, she was determined to repay the third prince's kindness, deciding to help him become crown prince to clear her father's name. Seeing the third prince bullied by a eunuch overseer, the girl pulled him aside, saying she was willing to care for the third prince in the cold palace. But the third prince rejected her offer. Having grown up in the cold palace, enduring his mother's abuse, his personality had long become withdrawn and distrustful. He believed the girl must have ulterior motives for approaching him, so he shut her outside, refusing to let her in. But the girl knew the third prince was harsh in speech but soft at heart, so she deliberately stood outside pitifully, saying it was too cold out there. She'd freeze to death if she stayed long. Could she just come in to warm up? Hearing this, the third prince's heart softened. He opened the door and threw her the only thick quilt, but the girl seized the chance to slip inside. Without a word, climbed into bed and pulled the quilt over herself. Considering the freezing cold outside, the soft-hearted third prince decided to let her stay the night. Seeing the drafty palace and the thin quilt on the third prince, the girl felt a pang of sorrow. So this was how the third prince had survived all these years. She carried her quilt to the third prince's bed. Seeing this, the third prince instantly tensed, gripping a shard of porcelain, thinking she meant to assassinate him, only to realize she just wanted him to sleep warmer. The next day, when the girl woke, she vaguely remembered from her past life that consort Xian would soon take the third prince out of the cold palace. There was still some time left. She had to gain the third prince's trust quickly, then leave the palace with him, so she immediately fetched hot water for him to wash. But the third prince remained ungrateful, only wanting to drive her away. Seeing this, the girl had no choice but to use her ultimate move, telling the third prince her father was a commander in Shuzhou. She had trained in martial arts since childhood. If he didn't listen to her, he'd regret it. The third prince hadn't expected her to be so strong. He could only sit still obediently, letting her wipe him down, and the girl swore to him she would stay faithfully by his side this lifetime. But life in the cold palace was hard. Even the maids delivering meals looked down on the third prince. Each time they came, they'd deliberately throw the food on the ground, denying him a meal. The girl knew this couldn't go on. To keep the third prince from starving, every time she passed the imperial kitchen, she'd secretly take 2 steamed buns. But buns alone weren't enough, so she risked climbing onto the kitchen roof. Then, while the chef was distracted, used a hook to steal a freshly roasted duck. The third prince initially resisted, but couldn't withstand the repeated temptation of